That's right. It's the morning show here on KVVB TV, Channel 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube Live. Also now playing on Roku. Great to have you with us. On today's show, we're going to be talking to our returning guest, Sonia Chason, attorney at law. And she's going to share with us some tips that you need to know, especially when you get into a car accident and or any other accident. We're going to be talking about accidents today and things you should be aware of. So super excited about that, including a question that I've had for quite some time, and I have a feeling I already know the answer, but I want my lesson to be your lesson, if that makes sense. You know, like, you ever do that with people? You're like, look, I'm just going to let you know how I messed up so you don't mess up if this ever happens to you. It's one of those talks. Okay, so we're going to have one of those. Also around the corner, we've got Joel Prevost. Yes, a tech expert extraordinaire, sharing with us the latest in tech, some good, some not so good, and what do you think about it? We'll talk about that around the corner, including, check this out, Jesse. We've got an eyeball thingadabob. Well, that's what they're going to call it one day, eyeball thingadabob. But it's actually a contact lens that is like has a little augmented reality on it. How cool is that, Jesse?
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like this is the things that we don't really talk about in sci-fi, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, what would you want yours to tell you about? Like, what would be that thing that would make life easier if it just like you saw it on the screen as you're looking at somebody or at something or to do something? What would you have it do, Jesse?
Ooh, tough question. I don't know. There's so many things I would want it to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like as though if I could just make it tell me, like if I'd look at a food, what I had, it would automatically tell me how many calories it would have. Just automatically. It'd be like, I'd be like, can't have that. Look over there. Oh, can't have that. Look over there. Salad. Oh, okay. See, you don't even need context to tell you that, but that's how it is nowadays. Okay, I think if everybody had one of those, they'd be a little bit more mindful. You're like, whoa, 1,500 in one serving? No, thank you. All right, but seriously though, we appreciate each and every one of you spending time with us here on social media. However, we have to take a quick break here. When we get back, we've got more right after these messages. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, on social media, we see you there. Blue Islands tuning in on Periscope. Thank you. Robert Trebor tuning in. Multi Anime. Oh, that's cool. That's neat. That's a cool name. You ever see any anime that you like absolutely can recommend to anybody else over there, Jesse? Or were you not a big anime person?
No, I like anime. I'm just picky on what I watch.
So Ghost in the Shell, I believe they're doing a brand new rendition of that. I don't know how many different Ghost in the Shell. I mean, Ghost in the Shell is one of those that anybody that knows anime knows Ghost in the Shell, the series. But they even made it into a movie. It did okay. It didn't do so great, which I was hoping for. Better than expected reviews. However, it was good. It was. Did you ever see that with what's her name who played Black Widow? What's her name?
Scarlett Johansson?
That lady. Yeah, she's got a
No,
lot
I
of.
never got the opportunity to watch it.
Yeah, people got upset because the main character is like Japanese, and they kind of tried to make her look Japanese, and she's not Japanese, so that kind of went awry really quick. However, it was a good film. It wasn't a bad film. It was just not excellent. Like if they took the Matrix team and then did that for Ghost in the Shell, they would have had a winner. However, back to that. So if there's one show I could recommend to you, Jesse, which I think you're going to appreciate, you have Netflix, right?
Yes.
Okay, it is called, and for everybody else, the first time I saw it, I said, "Oh my goodness, this is great." And I can't remember it now. Hold on, anime. It was called Sword. No, not Sword. What was it called? It was like an RPG game, virtual reality. What goes wrong when somebody goes behind the scenes and messes up the VR for everybody, and they trap you in the game. You know which one I'm talking about?
There's a couple animes like that. We have 10 seconds. What else was it about?
It escaped my brain right now. I'm gonna have to look it up. Netflix anime titles.
We got 2 seconds. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, or will we? That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live TV audience over there at KVVB TV, Channel 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and now Roku. Yes, and each and every one of your devices. We're happy to be here. Glad to have you with us. On today's show, we're going to be talking to attorney at large over there. Yes, Sonia Chason, and she's going to be spending time with us, sharing some of the stuff that we need to know. What happens when you get in a dreaded car accident? Yes, no matter what size it is, there's a lot of things that need to be done properly, and we're here to remind you, especially if you're driving on the road right now, listen to us on the radio. For example, put down that phone, let somebody else do it, or tune on the radio to 1490 AM if you're in our listening audience. For everybody else, just download our app. It's free. Use the Bluetooth hands-free device. That will probably eliminate the majority of accidents. At least there was a couple accidents I've been in where the other person was texting and driving, and that was no fun, no bueno. Also, we're going to be spending time with Joel Prevost. Yes, he is the tech expert extraordinaire, sharing with us some of the latest in tech products, including a contact lens that evidently has augmented reality. And my question of the day is, what would you want that to tell you? If it could just tell you anything, like it was smart and you could see it on the thing, but nobody knew on the opposite end of you. You know what I know exactly what I would want now. By the way, let's say hello to Jesse Sanchez, who's over there patiently waiting in the booth. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
So yeah, you know what I would have it do? It would be my teleprompter. So everybody would think that I was like smart, and I'm not. It would just be of course, I don't know what happens if you blink though. If that does that reset it, or does it know? Can you do that? What do you think? Good idea, bad idea? I think people would be even better like at the Oscars because they would just kind of look like natural instead of looking at the monitor trying to read it. What do you think? Good idea? Great idea?
No, I think that would be a great idea, especially if like you're doing speeches and stuff.
Yeah, me too. I think that would be fantastic until, of course, like that contact lens would fall out. You'd be like, oh, my whole speech. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Right? So, yeah, so there you go. Anyway, so moving on, we've got lots to talk about today, including this. Evidently, a lot of millennials are socking money away. Did you know that, Jesse? Does that kind of not come as a shock to you, or does it kind of come as a shock?
It kind of comes as a shock.
Yeah, me too, actually. Yet, there's a survey that just came out. Millennials, Americans between the ages of 24 and 41. Wait, what? Since when was it 41? When did they increase that? It was always like mid 30s. It's not 40. Oh, they get older as we go. I am not a millennial, people. These numbers. Somebody didn't update the millennial factor right. Anyway, I'm still going to go on to read this. This was featured in USA Today, by the way. They started saving for retirement at 24 on average, well before Generation Xers at 30 and baby boomers at 33. Whoa, okay. According to the bank's 2020 Better Money Habits Millennial Report that was released Thursday, which surveyed, you only surveyed less than 2,000 people, 1,903 respondents. I wonder what part of the country this was in. Significantly, more millennials, though, according to this, are socking money away despite facing debt woes. Nearly 3 in 4 of them are saving, up 10 percentage points in 2 years. Roughly a quarter of millennials have $100,000 or more set aside. Excuse me? What? Up from 16% in 2018. They're also practicing positive money habits. Over the past year, nearly 40% of millennials boosted their credit score. 29% secured a raise, and 24% saved more money for retirement. According to Andrew Plepler, global head of environmental, social, and governance at Bank of America, said this quote, older millennials that have had their jobs for a while and have been contributing to their 401k have been likely seeing their net worth rise in the midst of a strong stock market over the past decade. But those who are newer to the workforce probably haven't been able to see the benefits of an appreciating 401k or rising housing values just yet. So, what have we learned from this story? Number one, didn't know 41-year-olds were millennials. I think this is the typo on so many levels there. But I mean, I would like to think that this is a good thing, right? If this study is actually true, what do you think, Jesse? Do you feel you're like right along with the mix of everybody else right there, or we need some work on that?
I need some work on that.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. I'm not even lying about that. Okay, so yeah, according to this, more than 3/4 of millennials carry debt, excluding home loans. 1 in 6 of millennials owe $50,000 or more. I believe that a little bit higher. The types of debt millennials are dealing with will include auto loans. That's 40%. Credit card debt, 37%. Mortgages, 36%. Student loans, 25%. Personal loans, 12%, and medical debt, about 11%. So there are the numbers. Those are the factors. And why do I bring this up? Well, we had a really good conversation just the other day with a person who did a little bit of lending. Do you remember that, Jesse?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so we were talking about that, and so you guys might want to check that out. Again, that was what was that? I want to say that was Lending Tree. Was that Lending Tree? Or no, I don't think it was Lending Tree. Lending Tree is a different company. But there you go. All right, so we'll talk about that around the corner, I'm sure. But Lending Club, no, Lenders Club, Lending something. We'll get that. I trying to recall off the top of my head, but it's not working. Anyway, okay, so we got other stuff coming up as well. Check this out, by the way. This was the situation I was talking about. You know how we were talking about to 23andMe, where you can get your DNA test, and some people balk at it. Some people are like, oh yeah, they're going to store your information somewhere, and they're going to have access to it, like the FBI. Well, this actually happened recently. This man. And this was a story I brought up just a couple days ago, but there was new information on this. A New York man was fully exonerated Tuesday after being wrongfully convicted for a sexual assault that took place in 1984. Rafael Ruiz, who is 60 now, he was only, get this, Jesse, 25 when he was found guilty in 1985 of sexually assaulting a woman with two others in East Harlem. He spent the next 25 years in prison. His maximum sentence, per the Innocence Project, the nonprofit that worked with him for 13 years to help vacate the conviction. He was released on parole in 2009. He continued to maintain his innocence with the aid of the Innocence Project and the Manhattan District Attorney's Conviction Integrity Program, which unsealed the victim's rape kit. The kit was tested and did not match Ruiz in any of the samples collected. So he, of course, a happy man eventually. Ruiz said in a statement this, he says, I was a man who went to court and went to trial to prove his innocence, but I was treated like I was already guilty when I stepped in there. The organization added that the victim mistakenly identified the apartment where her attackers came from, pointing out the apartment where Ruiz lived with his brother. Years later, while Ruiz was convicted, a former assistant district attorney, William M. Tendy Jr., found that Ronnie lived across the hall from Ruiz per the Innocence Project. The man also had a history of violence against women, according to their neighbors. Although Ruiz was offered a plea guilty deal, which would have granted him a considerably shorter sentence of only 1.5 to 3 years in prison. Isn't that crazy? This is where I feel like it's just things are a little askew. The fact that you say that you go guilty, but he knows he's innocent. I mean, technically, you're like, why didn't you just take the plea deal? He turned it down to take the case to trial because he thought, well, I'm innocent. Why? Who would convict me? Circumstances surrounding his case are sometimes referred to as a trial penalty, which is when defendants receive longer sentences at trial than they would have had through a plea bargain, often substantially longer. That's according to University of Pennsylvania law professor David S. Abrams. So what have we learned from this story, Jesse?
Uh, yeah. Wow. I I have no words on this dude. I feel so bad.
Yeah, right. I mean, in hindsight, no, I can imagine him going, I should have just taken the plea deal. It would have been, he would have had the majority of his life. Yet at the same time, how, how do you expect to do that? I feel something's just a little awry here. Other than, of course, he's innocent, but thank goodness for DNA samples and testing. But very interesting stuff there, and you gotta wonder again. This can happen to each and every one of us, so it's always good to have a good attorney team on your side. But yeah, a lot of cases like this. I personally don't know why it took 13 years for it to get so that they could unseal. Like, how simple is that? Unseal it, test it, boom, we're all done. Like, we can all go on with our life. Yet they make it so difficult with some of these red tapes, and it takes forever to prove somebody's innocence. Now, by far and large, I know our criminal system does a pretty good job of putting out like real criminals behind bars, and I'm all for that, by the way. Yet at the same time, these ones kind of make you kind of scratch your head, right? You're kind of like, how did that fall through the cracks? So what can we do better? I'm sure there's something we could do better on this in future cases, but there you go. For the time being, that's the way it is, and you literally got to play ball with the court system and the way it is set up commonly. But yeah, when they say justice is blind, I say, it depends who has the money in that case, right? Often. So get yourself a good attorney, which, by the way, around the corner, we're going to have Sonia Chason joining us, talking to us about some things we need to know. And this came up as well recently, and I was surprised to see this. Suicide rate in the USA. Now, do you think it's gone up, gone down, or kind of stayed the same, Jesse? What's your perspective of this?
I'm going to say they've gone up. I'm sad to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. You're right, actually. Numbers released Thursday from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show 48,344 people died by suicide in 2018, up from 47,173 the year before. Imagine that. That's a lot of lives. Imagine like that filling up a stadium. That's the majority of big stadiums, right? While the increase was small, just 0.2%, the rise in deaths over time has been steady. Since 1999, the suicide rate has climbed 35%. Death rates in 2018 increased for only 2 of the 10 leading causes of death, suicide and influenza or pneumonia. April Foreman, who's a clinician and board member at the American Association of Suicidology, didn't know that was a thing, noting systems of science and care have remained static. She said this, I was 100% unsurprised. That's not acceptable. We need to start treating these deaths seriously and respecting these survivors by upping our game in public health. I applaud that statement more than most. As everybody knows, I'm very, very public about this. Over 12 years ago, I almost did exactly the same thing. So I'm very public about this so that others can say and look and say, wow, well, had you done that, you wouldn't be here talking in front of a large audience, right? And I often repeat this. So value life. And I always end the show with, love life. It is an amazing thing. And it is a gift. You just have to get over that hurdle. And sometimes people aren't told that, or even nobody shares that with them, and they feel like they're alone. So I understand this more than most. According to this, it said suicide is the nation's 10th leading cause of death, with 14.2 deaths per 100,000 people, though that rate alone bellies the scope of the problem. While thousands of people die by suicide each year, millions think about it, right? And I think the majority of us, when we're open, and I've had this conversation very openly with a lot of people, and many go, oh yeah, I've thought about it, but I never went through it. So there's different phases as well. There's those that think about it, those that actually are in the middle of doing it and stop, and then those that actually go through with it, but end up somebody intercedes or someone like ends up getting them help. And then unfortunately for the rest that actually do carry it out. So for those, we want to do a big, big appreciation for each and every one going, wait, you know what? Who do I know that like falls along this line? Who have I not seen? Who do I need to reach out to? And maybe put them on the front of our thought pattern so that we give them a call, check up on them and say, hey, how are you doing? And just be there for them. Know that the communication is open for each and every one of you. And of course, they always have, go and get help. Sometimes, though, when you're in the middle of that, it's very hard to do that. But you could do so through several ways, and then we'll go to break on this. So here are the numbers. Write them down. Have them at your ready. 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK or 8255. Anytime, day or night, or chat online. I like the online version because a lot of people like to text and just chat, and they don't want to like speak to a person. You could do that as well. The crisis text line provides free 24/7 confidential support via text message to people in crisis. All you have to do is dial 741-741. 741-741. You dial that, and you'll be able to text with somebody that will just have an open and listening ear. Okay, so but for the rest of us, let's be on the front line of that. Be aware that this is a problem. Take even comments about this seriously. You can't dismiss them and be like, oh, well, they may or may not take it. Doesn't matter. Take it seriously. Be on the front line, not on the back line, regretting having been there for somebody. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Before we do, it's 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK or suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Or if you want to text somebody, just talk to somebody, 741-741. That's 741-741. And they are fantastic and wonderful to talk to. Okay, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these messages with more right here of The Morning Show. Stay tuned. All right, and for the rest of you tuning in, we appreciate your comments on social media, like this one. Tim Harris says this: keep your mouth shut, call your attorney, and never plead guilty if you're not guilty. And again, plea deals, those are a whole other ball game. That's usually with your attorney, by the way. However, what he says is very true. The moment you get like they're going to lock you up, you just shut your mouth and say, I want to see my attorney. That's probably the best advice ever. Just they have to give you your attorney. That's it. Don't open your mouth. Don't go into all the reasons, because each and everything literally will be used against you. However, very rarely do they forget the Miranda rights, right? But they have to say your Miranda rights. And those are your rights. Take them. And even if they don't say them, still take them. All right. Let's see. We've got Bobby Stamp says these stories are so common. Very scary law process. Oh, man. In family court, too. Seriously, some of these things I think should be, if they were in front of like a jury, you wouldn't have half the stuff happen that happened. It's a weird world we live in. If you hear some of these stories, and they're very common, by the way. When I open up about stuff that's happening like with family members that we know and love, and like people are like, are you kidding me? Why would they allow this? Court system can be a little ambiguous. Having said that, I do appreciate the court system when it works right. I would never do away with the court system. Like, we all have a right to a fair and proper. However, there are some judges that are very biased. And I had this conversation with a couple of attorneys recently. They're like, oh no, we've seen it time and again. But what can we do? Our hands are tied. I go, here's what you do. You have a secondary judge look at the first. Oh, that's called appeals court. But then that's like years and money just thrown out the door. It's a cycle. It's a big cycle. A lot of money to be had. That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live TV audience over there at KVVB TV, Channel 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and of course, Roku. Go check us out. Very simple. Also, by the way, we had Pawn Stars on yesterday. KVVB has Pawn Stars at 6:30 every evening. How cool is that? Weekdays right here at KVVB. So if you want to check that out, get caught up, you could do so. And just check the local listings. Maybe you're on a different time stamp area, even for all of our programming. We always say Pacific time, so some of you guys tune in from the East Coast, West Coast, Hawaii time, whatever time it is, London time, Scotland time. We see you guys tuning in from everywhere, so we appreciate you whichever way you are doing it. Look, Jesse, I understand you're going to be watching Super Bowl, but have you ever stopped to consider that maybe you should check out Puppy Bowl?
Puppy Bowl. I want to say I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's big. It's big, by the way. Star quality can be tough to identify until you meet a young talent whose embodiment of the X Factor is so obvious. Yes, Jack, a Chihuahua Poodle mix, was the clear champion from the start of Puppy Bowl tryouts. The playful new Animal Planet segment, get that, it's on Animal Planet, features comedian and animal activist Whitney Cummings auditioning 3 puppies to move on to the network's 16th annual Puppy Bowl, Sunday Super Bowl for dog lovers. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's noon Pacific Time. This year, the show features 96 puppies from 61 shelters across 25 states. As the Pup Close segment was taped on a sunny September afternoon in the Hollywood Hills, the inquisitive white-haired Jack competed against Ivan, who is a sedate, bow-legged, dark gray meatball with the flat face, and Daphne, a feisty, cow-spotted cutie. All were adopted through the California-based Love Leo Rescue. Cummings, who has 4 dogs of her own, calls her home a revolving door for fostering dogs, took the 4-legged fur babies through rounds of toy throwing, hurdle navigating, dead planning, dog-themed jokes for her unpredictable and unamused co-stars. So if you want to check it out, it's on Animal Planet. It's a big thing because the crowd, they're rough. Get it? Rough. Yeah. I'll be here all week, folks. So there you go. Go check it out. It's a pretty fun show, and I hear nothing but great stuff about it. So maybe put that on before the Super Bowl, and why not have a little bit of fun action? At least for the little kids, right? Little kids sometimes don't get football so much. They're like, why are people yelling? I don't get it. Like, people are just running back and forth. But you put on the puppies, and then they'll be like, oh, this is all a darn while. And then they'll be like, I want one, right? So that'll happen. By the way, a lot of conversation being had about this, and then we'll go to break really quick. The coronavirus, again, doesn't have to do with the beer. Let's get that fact straight. But it does, a lot of questions are being had on this. The ongoing spread of this, of course, first identified in Wuhan, China, has already caused 170 deaths, and the World Health Organization, also known as WHO, declares it a global health emergency. That they went on record yesterday saying this. Yet people are being like, oh, you know what? There's a lot of things going out, a lot of misinformation. So we thought we'd put some to rest. Some have claimed that common disinfectant sprays and wipes manufactured by brands like Lysol and Clorox can cure the current outbreak. While disinfectant sprays can help slow the spread of any viral threats, they are not 100% effective. Now, you don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that. It says it right on the bottle, right? However, evidently some people were being like all, everybody's a doctor. So one Twitter user writes, get yourself some Lysol and you're good. This bleepity bleep kills coronavirus in 30 seconds. don't. I'm throwing in the twang, but I don't know if there was twang involved. So look, just get your facts straight. Again, wash your hands, lots of that. Make sure not to come in contact with anybody if at all possible. Although this is a difficult one because it's like a 2-week incubation time period. So lots of questions being had. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of answers down the line. But just remember, this is not foolproof, okay? So it helps diminish, not 100% effective, okay? But it's good to still have it. I would more than likely take 98 or 99, whatever that number is, over 0%. So make sure to stock up on that. That's my little PSA. Okay, we got to take a break. When we come back, it's going to be Joel Prevost joining us, tech expert extraordinaire, right after these messages. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live TV audience over there at KVVB TV, Channel 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and now Roku. Make sure to add us there. It's my pleasure and honor to bring to you somebody who knows a lot about tech, has so much tech in his own house that he doesn't know what to do with it other than to talk about it here on the show. Yes, I've got with us Joel Prevost of Prevost Partners. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Joel.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Yeah, Joel, look, I understand you got so many tech gadgets in there. I think do you name them? Do you start counting them one by one? Do you give them like a special pet name?
Yeah, a little of all of that. Our robot vacuums definitely get a name. So we've got one upstairs we call Marta, and we've one downstairs we call Barkley. So
okay,
those get names.
Good to differentiate
everything
from.
else is just right. And but the kids, they get into it. They've get to customize their Amazon Echoes and all that stuff, and keep the house buzzing. That's for sure.
Well, I love it because it's always true that those that we talk to, whenever they are tech experts, I always wonder how many tech gadgets they have in yours. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now, let's jump into it. Car tech, it's all been the latest talk. There's been so many new additions to the car world. I remember the day when we just were excited to be able to have automatic windows and or doors. Remember that?
I definitely do. We were probably late adopters as a family. The theory back then was just get the ones that roll up, nothing goes wrong. But in my current life, I can't get enough of it. I'm always wanting it. And I saw you got in the Porsche Taycan, which is kind of a dream car for me. I saw that video and I was pretty impressed. I've been very curious about that. And so much of the tech you see is in the car, right? It's the in-dash entertainment. It's all that, electric vehicles, self-driving. It's fun stuff. I love it.
It's a gorgeous vehicle, along with the price tag, by the way, $180,000.
Right.
So you got that just lying around.
I saw that.
I would hope they throw it in there, right?
Oh, that thing is so nice. I love that. I love that car.
And all electric vehicle, by the way. Porsche's all electric vehicle, which, I mean, the amount of money you save on gas just go into the car. But okay, so I understand there's this cool technology, which, by the way, that car would be really cool, like on the outside. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's called VantaBlack, and it's a material. Apparently, it's not really a paint. But recently, from Surrey Nanosystems, it absorbs 99% of the light. In fact, they have one material that's 99.965% of the light, but they recently used it to cover a new BMW, and the material could only do 99%. I don't know what difference the 0.9 makes, but I'm sure it does to somebody's if you see it in person. But it absorbs all the light, so you can't, there's no glare, there's no, you can almost not see the contours of the car, apparently. So it's apparently a series of tubes, and it creates almost like they call it a rolling black hole. It's like the darkest material made. So it's a little peculiar, like what the purpose will be, other than, because we should try this. But it's pretty impressive to look at the images. I don't know. I'm not sure what will happen with it. It's so expensive that they said to repair a scratch, or if you ever actually had an accident with a car with this on it, it'd be outrageous. But you have to start somewhere, I guess, with this technology, right?
Joel, look, I'm just saying, if you happen to have this material and you want to be Batman with the Dark Knight in the darkest of nights, this is the type of material Batman needs. Am I wrong? Am I right that I'm wrong?
Right. No, I think you're onto something. I've imagined that when I was reading about it. I thought, okay, if you just killed the lights at night, would you just disappear? I imagine, right? Like that's it. Your light's not going to glare off of you.
Yeah, people are going to crash into you left and right. So, you're like, whoa, I'm right here. You're like, whoa, so I can see this going very wrong very quick, but it's pretty amazing. I mean, It's great for stealth, especially I can see a military, which, let's face a lot of this stuff, speaking of which, I think there's something that you're talking about around the corner, which is eyewear that is pretty futuristic. Can we jump right into that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. No, and that really kind of got some attention at CES around the virtual reality, augmented reality stuff. That there's uh, a contact lens that would be able to, you'd be able to receive messages on it or get, yeah, that's a good picture of it. And they weren't letting people put it on their eye, of course, but you could hold it up and get an idea of like the menu that would pop up. Um, Kind of a crazy concept. I've worked in healthcare my whole career, and I used to have a ton of brainstorms like this where we'd say, what could we do when Google Glass came out, right? And they were talking more about AR. And I talked about, well, what about in safety? If you were a healthcare professional walking through the halls and you had an augmented reality that could tell you, when the fire alarm goes off, it'll tell you the path to take and the next steps to take. So people don't have to remember policies. The training gets easier, and you have that kind of stuff right there at the ready when you need it. So there's a lot of applications for this stuff. We're probably not quite ready for contact lenses, but somebody was doing it, and that concept was getting a lot of attention. And they weren't even officially part of CES; they were just in Vegas. Good opportune time to get in front of people that would be interested.
Well, I'm just thinking of Bionic Man. Remember when he would be like, he would move in slow motion. The slower he moved, the more bionic he was. But whenever he'd be able, like,
Yeah.
to zoom in from very far away like an eagle, that's what I'm wondering if they're going to get to that point. Because I understand this is also good for those with some type of degeneration of their eye. Like they can actually implement some of that. I think one of the creators, if I'm wrong on this, please correct me, but is actually like very interested in what it means for people just being able to see.
Yes, I think that the disability or the correcting some of those things is where a lot of the opportunity is. We all can all understand the concept of put my smartphone stuff in front of my face on glasses or on a contact lens, but there's a lot of application for helping people that correct improve vision, other issues that. Think about if you could trigger something with just your eyes and you're disabled, and you can trigger things just with eye motion or focus, suddenly maybe you're able to interact with your environment differently and better. So that's kind of exciting stuff for people to enhance lives too.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. We just watched the movie The Theory of Everything with Stephen Hawking, and how they originally were like, just blink if, and he had to blink a certain amount of times to be able to kind of speak to them before they created the program that he could just like click on with his hand. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be cool if they like took it a step further? And I see what you're talking. There's a lot of uses for this. Again, I see a lot of it happening in the military first before it happens on our front step, but I would like to see it on our front step before not. Now, going into something, because I know we've run out of time already, but something that you're a little bit on the fence about. You like them, but then you've got now this love-hate relationship. Is everything going to be okay with this company?
Sonos has disappointed a lot of users recently. I was an early adopter, and like all the other early adopters, were frustrated. So what happened is, for those who aren't familiar, Sonos is a leader in basically, internet connected speakers. They have really good sound. I love their system. I have their speakers in every corner of my house. It enables you to manage the music from your phone. Now you can manage it from, AI speakers like Google Home and Alexa. And I have to be careful when I say the word Alexa in my house because it wakes everything up. I have speakers everywhere.
Don't say Alexa, listen to the morning show on KMET 1498 and Alexa will hear you.
The bells and whistles are going off everywhere now. No, but what happened is they said we're going to discontinue software updates for some of our older speakers. And on the surface, it looks like, oh, those speakers are the ones from back before 2011. However, they were selling, that's when they were produced. They were selling those some of those 5 years ago. So people may have bought a speaker 5 years ago, and now they're not going to get software updates. But worse yet, because it works as a system, and you have these speakers are all talking to each other. If you have an old speaker on your system with new speakers, then your whole system won't get updates.
Oh.
And nobody wants that, right? Software updates for new things. Yeah. So it means you basically have to take that speaker out of your networks if you want to continue to have updates to the software. And if you take it out of the network, it's useless. And they said, well, we'll buy them back from you, or we'll take them back. And we'll recycle them, and we'll give you a 30% discount. So for 30% off a new speaker, I can give them more money. And we're talking about, I'll just say from personal experience, I have a Play 5 that I spent $500 on, and I love it. It sounds beautiful. And now I'm at this crossroad. Come May, it'll happen in May, that either I leave it on the system and live with it for a while, or I got to yank it and either replace it. So it puts people in, it's like the words were, forced obsolescence, forced upgrades, that kind of thing. And,
right.
I've heard a lot of the arguments about, well, your iPhone 4S doesn't work the same, and, they don't get updates anymore. And I thought, I get that, but
I don't know
if I was still using an iPhone 4S, my new iPad would still work, right?
Correct. Right.
So why does this have to impact all my speakers?
Inquiring minds want to know, and I understand we've run out of time, so a lot of inquiring minds want to know what's the next big thing that perhaps, I don't know if Sonos dropped the ball. There's always like 4 or 5 other contenders out there. Is there any one that you're thinking of possibly going to, even though you have this, love, but now it's like kind of cheated on you? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's kind of like a lover. They cheat on you. You're like, do I want to take you back? I don't know.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't figured out what I will do. It's really affecting one speaker for me. So I'm going to play it out. They apologized. I got an apology letter from the CEO, like everybody else did.
Again, take me back, will you? Because I love you.
Yeah,
I would never want to do this to you.
I don't know. I know.
Yeah.
I don't have a good answer for where I'd go next. That's the thing. They're really good, but I think if it turns into more cost to me, there's a chance I would start looking at, who knows? You got Bose, you got other speakers out there that are doing this stuff. It's a hard thing when you've invested so much money, but
yeah, there's more fish in the sea. That's what I tell everybody. Okay, no, but seriously, Joel, we've
true.
run out of time. It's been great. I love having you on. We got to have you on again to talk about the coming weeks ahead. And Joel, for those that maybe have questions or they want something featured or for you to talk about, where can they go?
Yeah, you can hit me up on Twitter. It's at Joel Prevost, and I'm happy to keep the conversation going. I'd love to be back on the show. It'd be fun to keep talking about this stuff and providing updates, and we'll go from there.
All right, and you can use the hashtag Tech Talk with Joel. Use that in all of your correspondence. Sure. And Joel, I got a couple questions coming up around the corner, so I'll be tweeting you. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right, Joel Prevost, everybody. Yes, Prevost Partners. They do some amazing stuff over there. Go check them out. PrevostPartners.com. The ST is silent, so remember that when you spell it out. Okay, we got to take a quick break here on the morning show, but when we get back, we got more right after these messages. Stay tuned. All right, so there you go. Very cool, very good information there by our good friend Joel Prevost. And look, he knows everything there is. I mean, he's got a bunch of electronics. I can't wait to visit them as well. They're like what is that, Midwest, Mideast? What's that considered where he's at? So we have yet to check out his house, but I would imagine 250 electronics the guy has. I mean, seriously. Got something for everything, right? He actually wakes up to those cool lights that actually they cool or they light, and I've been wanting one of those, just one. I think he has this whole house set up like that. So he definitely knows tech, and also great guy, knows a lot about healthcare, and he comes from both and helps a lot of brands and companies actually find their identity because he helps them with that. Him and his lovely wife as well. Great family, by the way. We actually met at the Public Relations Society of America, and from there we're just like inseparable. We're like saw eye to eye, had a lot in common. And I said, "Oh, you definitely got to do this segment." So we'll have him back each and every other week. So it'll be every 2 weeks. So if you have questions for him, make sure to send them in. Or maybe there's an item you would like to be reviewed, and you're like, "I don't know if I want to buy this just yet. Do I put down the money for this? I don't know." So he can help you probably get that information because he's pretty raw on that. Can you tell? It's like he's real. He's the real deal. He's the kind you're like, hey, check this out. Are these good? Are these worth it? All right, those in social media, we see you guys over there. Judy says, let's see, MIT students invented it. What are we talking about? Oh, the glasses? Oh. From 20 years ago? Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, the technology isn't really, it's true. There's a lot of technologies that have been around for quite some time. Internet has been around actually for quite some time as well. Just was waiting for the whole massive rollout. But they were using that for quite some time. I think it goes back to the 60s, I believe. Late 50s, early 60s, I can't remember. A lot of technologies MIT has come up with. All right, so we got Martha Casera over there. Says, good morning. Good morning, Martha. Good to have you with us. Martha Casera. Can't wait to get her in the studio here. We had her on the Hollywood Social Lounge with La Femme Film Festival, doing some great interviews there as well. Go check her out, too. If you could friend request her, she's got some great videos she produces herself. Great segments, by the way. We always love to see Martha.
We got 10 seconds.
All right. We got Sonia, right? I think I heard that. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
2 seconds.
Thank you. Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live TV audience, KVVB TV, Channel 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and now Roku TV. Glad to have you with us. It's that time for our returning guest. Yes, she has done quite a lot in the field of law and legal. Anything that I have a question on, I basically go to her on. We got Miss Sonia Chason with us. Welcome back to the show, Sonia.
Thank you. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, but more importantly, Sonia, I understand you've got some tips for us, especially when it comes to an auto accident, which unfortunately, I mean, those happen like each and every second, I believe, in the world, right?
Yeah, they happen a lot, more than we want. But yes, so if you've been in an accident, I think the first thing that you do is, obviously assess the damages, but you have to take care of yourself, make sure that you're okay. And if you need to get medical attention right away. Sometimes people think they're not hurt, and then weeks later, days later, they're hurt, and then they want to recover for damages. Then they can't. It makes it harder because insurance companies are always trying to deny claims. So it's best to get yourself checked out, and it's for your own good. You don't know. Sometimes it's in a small impact case, you might have a brain injury. You don't know, and it takes a little bit to find out. So, or your back hurts. The initial impact gets you in shock. So sometimes, that prevents you from feeling pain. Sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I know what it's like to be in a pretty bad car accident. I had a laceration, had blood coming off my face, and I still thought maybe I could somehow get to the hospital on my own. Why is it important to go ahead and let them take you off, especially in an ambulance? Because sometimes they're like, "Do you want to go? Do you not want to go?" They give you the choice, and then you're like, "Oh no," you don't know what to do with that in the moment.
I think if someone's offering that, especially like injuries like what you're describing, I think it's best to go in the ambulance and get yourself checked out.
Yeah.
Because you're in a state of shock. So I would say you just keep that in the back of your mind. If you're ever in an accident, even though you think you feel well, you might just start driving away and start feeling bad. But yes, I would say take an ambulance. That would be my advice. Get checked out.
Now, I have a lot of people, and I've talked to them too, and I always say, because oftentimes you'll have people say, well, it's okay. My insurance said that they would take care of it, and they said that they'll deal with it. They said that they're going to deal with the other insurance, and they have lawyers, and I'm just going to let them do that. And I always say to them, get your own personal attorney. Why is that so important, or is it not? Am I giving out bad information?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on who's at fault. And insurance companies obviously want to save the most money. You're not the priority. But if someone accepts what's called liability is who's at fault. So if someone accepts liability, let's say you're in a taxi hits you, and he says, "I'm sorry," accepts liability. There's plenty of witnesses. It's clear that person is liable. Then your insurance, you always let your insurance company know, and your insurance company can defend you. But I always my advice is, it depends. If there's clear liability and you're injured, I would advise people to get somebody who's experienced, an experienced lawyer, to try to maximize the damages or recovery, because you can only go to the courtroom one time. You can't go again. So you want to make sure that you're treated like, a client, like a person, not just a number, which unfortunately with insurance companies sometimes that does happen.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because we just talked about, switching gears just for a really quick minute, and I know you don't know the details of this case, but there was a situation where a man, after so many years, he was originally accused and went to prison because he didn't take the plea deal. He could have got like 3 years or so of prison time if he had admitted to the sexual assault. Although he was innocent, he got put in prison. He was 25 when he went in. He was, I forget the age. This was 35 years in the making. They finally opened up the case, had the DNA tested, and it wasn't him the whole time. So why are we seeing this? Why are we seeing this long list of why is it taking so long?
Oh my goodness. Because the prosecutors really have the power, and unfortunately what I have seen, they often abuse that power. Sometimes even the judges go along with what prosecutors want, and they're supposed to be impartial. A lot of judges are former prosecutors, so they have a real bias, and that is an issue in the courtroom. But when a prosecutor, they wield so much power, they overcharge you. But, in a case like that, they may have, sometimes you're an easy target. You happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Sometimes they just don't care. If you're easy, they want to prosecute. They want to show that they're, prosecuting crimes. And unfortunately, even though our system of justice is innocent until proven guilty, it seems like when you're practicing, you're guilty until proven innocent. And a lot of people they buckle under pressure, and they will take a plea deal because the prosecutor is saying, we're going to go away for, 300 years. I'm exaggerating, but we'll take the plea deal and we'll do 10 years. So what would you do? And that the evidence is overwhelming. And sometimes there's just lazy lawyers, too. Unfortunately, that happens, too.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing that up, because it's definitely something. I know you and I have had this conversation behind the scenes, and I've always said, and wouldn't it be great if you had like every trial on public display? Because then I feel like some of these things, even if they had like a jury, like in family court, there are some things that just wouldn't happen, but there you go. Look, we've run out of time, unfortunately, with you, which I hate it whenever it comes to this time, but we've got to see you next in a couple weeks from that. But if anybody wants to reach out to you, maybe they have a case, whether it be an auto accident or any other type of case, of course, you can help them. And if you can't, you've got a great team over there that you can always refer them to. How can they get a hold of you?
They can look me up on Facebook, or they can call me at, you have my numbers there, or
Yeah.
the easiest thing is 310-773-8788. That's my number, but contact me through Facebook, send me a message. I will respond within a day or two.
All right, there it is. We've run out of time. Thank you, Sonia, for spending time with us here on The Morning Show. Everybody else, make it a great day. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody. Sonia Chason, attorney at law. Yes, let's go ahead and bring that up really quick. That really good graphic. We love that. 310-773-8788. That's 310-773-8788. No case is too big for her, and if it is, she'll tell you, and then she'll get you the right person for the job. So I highly recommend Sonia. I've referred friends, I've referred family members, I've referred pretty much everybody to Sonia. And like I said, she will take care of it. And if she can't, she will say, well, this is a little not in my expertise, but I have the person for you, and she'll put you right with the right person. Again, got a big heart. It's very hard to find that in attorneys sometimes. Some have lost heart, I feel, because I met quite a few in my experience, and some just like they don't care. They just want the money. And then there's others that actually they'll go to bat for you if they believe you are right in this case. And she's one of those very few attorneys that actually do that. I could say that from experience. So there you go. Okay, well, we appreciate each and every one of you spending time with us here on KVVB. Again, just to remind you, we are now on Roku. So go download us wherever you're watching us from, whether you're already watching us on Roku or maybe you've got us on social media and you're seeing this for the very first time and you're saying, wait, they have other great programming other than the morning show? Oh, yeah, it's a lot. Movies, music, and sports, and much, much more. In fact, after our show, there's a whole bunch of other shows that even I go, oh, wow. And I watch their show, and then I don't get any work done. So go check it out. Again, KVVB TV. Add it to your favorites on Roku. Make it a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Hollywood Social Lounge, 10 a.m. right here on KVVB. Bye-bye, everybody.